Even though I wasn't in the market for a boat, sometimes when they pop up, you just got to take them. I'm actually trying to find me a good jet boat to build, but this one kind of fell in my lap. It's a 2001 Signature Series Sun Tracker Party Barge, 21 footer. It's got the boarding ladder in the front. The tunes are straight as an arrow. The upholstery's gone on the boat, of course, but the floors are all aluminum. But what I bought the boat for was this motor. I haven't even took it apart yet, haven't looked at it, don't really know what we got. All I know is when I stuck a battery on it, the hour gauge said this boat only had about 10 hours on it. I'll tell you the backstory of it. The original owners bought it brand new. They had it for one summer. They come down to bad health. The boat sat for 2 years. The second owner bought it. Immediately after buying it, had a family issue come up, and the boat has been setting since 2003. So the boat hasn't really been run enough to even really be good and broke in. But you can't just throw gas in this boat and go. You got to go through certain procedures. I rescued her from the woods. She was full of leaves, about 2 foot deep. Let's see if we can't get her back. So this whole series, first video, is going to be seeing if we can't get this motor back the right way. All right, so I found this boat. It's been sitting in the woods for 16 years. The motor itself only has 10 hours of runtime on it. So I know this motor is just as good as if it just came out of the factory. It's just been sitting in the woods, abandoned for the most part. Has no fuel in it. The biggest mistake you can make with a boat that you found like that, or a motor that you found like that, if it's been setting for more than 2 years, go through this procedure. This procedure will save your motor. Those motors, when they've been sitting for a while, just the moisture in the air will cause surface rust inside the cylinders, which will cause the rings to bond to that surface rust. And you take a chance on, even as something as simple as just turning the motor over, you could break those rings. And then you just turn a perfectly good motor into trash, or you're going to have to spend a lot of money on it. Take the time to do this procedure, and you'll save yourself some time in the long run. So here's what you need to do. Like I said, this boat has been sitting for a long time. So I was real careful about even hooking the battery to it. I made sure that I hooked the battery to it, walked around and started filling the wires. Before I even took this cowl off, I walked around, felt the wires, make sure none of them was getting hot, because you never know, an animal could have got in there and chewed some wires, or just one just corrode to where the wires make a connection. So here's what you need to do. Oh, wow. This motor has almost no runtime on it at all, and that's easy to tell just by looking at it. Looking at the flywheel, the paint's not even off of the gears on the flywheel. So the last thing I want to do is destroy this perfectly good engine. So, seafoam is your friend. Seafoam deep creep, this stuff is amazing. So what we're going to do, we'll take these spark plugs out, we'll fog each cylinder with this seafoam before we even attempt to even turn this motor over. I know this is a perfectly good running engine. I don't want to damage it. Fog all the cylinders, wait 2-3 hours. Personally, if I've got a motor like this that I know is in such a good shape, I'll fog these cylinders, I'll wait 24 hours. I'll come back tomorrow and turn it slowly using the prop. Put the prop on, put it in gear, barely move the motor side to side. Don't even spin it with the starter yet. Turn it, work it a little bit side to side right off the bat. Once you feel that it's moving free, now it may be free as it can be, but again, why destroy a perfectly good engine? Work that prop side to side. That'll get that flywheel moving side to side. Once you know that it's moving kind of free, turn it 180 degrees. Fog all the cylinders again. If you're in no hurry, wait another 24 hours and come back. Now once you've done that, then you take and turn it over with the prop, spray the cylinders. Use the whole can, it doesn't hurt a thing. Fill all these cylinders. This deep creep will seep into every little pore of that rust, it'll eat it up. Even if there's rust on them cylinders, this will get rid of it and it'll save that engine. Okay, by doing that, like I say, it's going to break up all that old carbon. It's going to break up all the old rust. And this motor should be just as good as brand new if we just follow this procedure. Okay, so it's been 24 hours. We've let this stuff soak overnight, and now these cylinders should be good and broken loose. If there's any stuck rings or any rust on there, we should be able to get it loose. So like I said, this is an old prop I got laying around the house. We'll use it. Like I said, just take an old prop and work it side to side. You hear it moving? This is pretty free. Listen to that. See, I can take my thumb and literally move that flywheel side to side. Just wiggle it like that. Get it good and broke free. We're good to go. Now, we'll just take and turn this motor all the way over. Nice and slow. Alright. Alright, so now we've got it turned 180 degrees from where it was before. So let's repeat the procedure again and fill these cylinders. Now we can let it set overnight again, and then we can do some complete turns on it and work it and see if we can get this thing broke loose. Luckily, this motor's in such good shape, I don't have to do a lot to break it free. Luckily, this motor's in pristine condition, so I don't have a lot of issues with it being stiff. But if you had an older motor and you could tell that it was physically stiff to turn it, this is a great procedure to go through. Just take your time. There's no use rushing it. If you're going to put some money in this motor, don't put any more than you have to. Okay, I'm pretty satisfied with the amount of lubricant we've put in these cylinders. I've moved it back and forth. I've spent my time to do it the right way. It's took a couple days, but it'll be worth it in the long run. Now, this is a great tool to have when you're doing something like this. I'm going to spin this motor over, let it run through the cylinder. I'm still not going to try to start it. We're still a good ways away from that because I want this motor to be a good motor for a long period of time. But I'll show you how to hook this up, and I'll show you how to do the compression test on it next time. I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to me. Stay tuned. We're going to go through this whole motor, and we're going to make it a good motor again. Thank you.